Good morning and welcome. Here is Championship Friday here for Benedictine as we bring you the countdown to kickoff here with Coach Danny Britt, presented by Savannah Toyota. And Coach made it all the way up here to Atlanta. And Christian was telling you before we started here, it's overcast, it's drizzly, and if you got to play outside, I guess this is what you got to expect in December.
Yeah, definitely. It's mid-December. It's what it should look like. It should be a little bit of rough weather, and that's what we'll have, and that's fine, whatever it takes.
Coach, how was the trip up here for the team?
It was great. It was a good trip. We just kind of took our time. We had got out of school early a little bit yesterday, practiced, showered up, and kind of packed up and crawled up here. Stopped in Macon and let them eat and move around a little bit, and just kind of took our time getting here.
Obviously, we talk about the week-to-week situation with your team. Not really a way to simulate getting on a bus, staying overnight. Oh, it's the championship game. We're going to have a dress rehearsal in the tunnel before we go on the field. Can't warm up on the field. How do you prepare your team mentally for something like this?
You really can't specifically prepare for that. But what you have to do is just give your kids as many different opportunities throughout the year. And by this time, this is game 15. I mean, wow, we've been together for 8 months and been working, and really you rely on your older guys, your seniors that've been there, done that, and they'll handle it just fine. They're locked in and ready. I could already tell this morning.
Now, Coach, you come up here. We talked about it. It's rainy. It's drizzly. You have the pomp and circumstances of the Omni. A little bit different atmosphere than getting dressed in a locker room down at Memorial Stadium.
Yeah, it is. It's very different than what we're used to, and again, they have to be able to handle that. What I try to do is not downplay it. I upplay it, I guess would be the term. And, I told them, for instance, how much this hotel stay cost for the team, and they were all shocked. And what I'm saying is nobody blinked an eye at Benedictine. Everybody was proud. They have the support of the administration, of the boosters, of everybody. And I think they can appreciate it. And every day this week, I've been telling them, before every practice, hey, it's Monday and you are practicing for the state championship. Congratulations. And I told them that this morning. I said, hey, it's Friday morning of the state championship. You're eating breakfast in the Omni in Atlanta.
Yeah, and not every group gets to do that, right? Like you just had a senior class come through that didn't get to make
never
this trip.
got to do that. So so it's special, and I want them to realize that and enjoy it. And quite honestly, every time I say it to them, I get chills. So I hope they do the same and can appreciate it.
Is this the easiest pregame speech you do all year? It's like, guys, this is it.
It is. I think it is. It kind of motivates itself. You shouldn't. I don't really have to come up with some great motivation. And like I said, I looked at the seniors. I looked at Holden Gurner and Justin Thomas in particular this morning, and they were locked in.
Well, Coach, you look at the teams that you've had. You've won 2 state championships since you've been here. What's the commonality that you found between those 2 teams that you're hoping to see out of this one?
Yeah, and there definitely is, and it is a senior class, and I know that seems overrated sometimes, but it's really not. Those are the older guys that have been here. A senior class that is mature and, of course, athletic and good, but also have played a lot of football. Then you have to mix in younger classes. It can't just be that one class. It has to be other guys. So we have juniors, sophomores that are really mixed in, that are good players too, that have that same mindset.
We're counting you down to kickoff here with head coach Danny Britt, presented by Savannah Toyota. And Coach, you mentioned those seniors, and you've told us all year long the way it ended last year, last play of the ball game, 1 game short. Their goal was to get to the state championship, and I mean, every team says that, right? Like, hey, we start the year, we want to be. Our goal is to be in the state championship. I feel like this team was like, that was the sole focus, not region championship, not hey, we want to win 7 or 8 games. State championship. And talk about that mindset and what it takes to carry that for 365 days, as you guys say, set the standard. That is the standard. 365 days to get back to here.
And don't be mistaken, it wasn't to get to the championship, it's to win the championship. And they set that. And I've never done that before. I mean, we've won 2 state championships, and I never set that as the goal. Everybody wants that, right? It's easy to say, how are you going to get there? It's like every year I set new goals for myself personally, and I want to be rich. Who doesn't want to be rich? Sure. Well, how are you going to get there? Right? What are you going to do to get there? The same with these guys is I said, okay, so that's the goal. And then, of course, we sat down, how do we get there? So that they have made that decision. That's what they wanted. They didn't want to just get here. They want to win the thing. And so, a lot of work's gone into it, a lot of energy, a lot of effort. Actually, I think my job today is holding them back a little bit and not letting it get too big.
Yeah.
And just let them go enjoy that moment that they have gotten here and they are here. But yes, go finish the job.
Well, Coach, a really good team standing in your way in Carver, Columbus, and just talking to some of their guys down there, they're kind of playing the same card that I know like Sean Quinn likes to play at Savannah State, where it's like, oh, we know about all the good players Benedictine has, but
Right.
I kind of shot back at him. Got an Alabama commit on the offensive line.
Right.
You're not allowed to say that.
Yeah, exactly. They're not allowed to say that. And Corey, I saw Corey's interview, and of course I get it. I respect what they're doing, but yeah, they got dudes. I mean, major dudes, and you have an Alabama commit, and that dude,
and another one, a junior that's got all the offers.
Got the same type of offers, and then a quarterback who is unbelievable. I know you've watched him, and can throw it, can run, can make things happen out of the dark, and then a running back that's incredible, and then a lot of athletes all across the board and defensively. So yeah, it's going to be a major challenge for us to be able to contain them in any way, shape, or form.
And again, we talk about the matchup on the field. The players obviously know what it's all about. What about for you? You and Coach Joyner over there, Georgia Southern alums playing at Georgia Southern. I mean, how is that playing a guy that you're obviously very familiar with?
Yeah, it doesn't really change anything. I mean, it's cool. It's a great story, and I'm very proud because Georgia Southern. I mean, really, what does Georgia Southern do? What do they put? They put out a lot of football coaches, and a lot of them are good high school football coaches across the country, really. So I'm proud of that. But as the games progresses, that really has nothing to do with it, and really it's not even a thought, I'm sure, to him or to me. Like, it's just what happens. But it is a very cool story and something I'm sure we're both proud of.
Coach, talk about those two tackles, maybe the strength of their offense, strength of your defense, are the guys who are being matched up with them. Going through practice this week with Holden Sapp, with the Matt Croman Hawks, what were the strategies? What were you telling them?
Yeah, to continue to do what they do that's gotten us here. It's obviously you can't get locked up by one of those guys.
Yeah, they'll swallow you up.
It's over.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to realize that. They're going to have to use their quickness, and have to use their scheme and their coaching to make sure that they're not. I mean, you're not going to bull rush them.
Yeah.
So they know that, and that was the conversations as we get in that situation and we lose.
And again, defensively, you guys have, through this stretch, been on the field second a lot. I know that's been a change for you this year when you've won the coin toss. You guys started taking the ball, but how important is it for them to kind of set that tone first, whether y'all take the ball first or you have to go?
That's on him today.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, so
I got to make the call today.
How important is it that first series to kind of go out and establish what you're all about?
I think it's important, but I think there's games that it's probably more important in than it is today. I mean, we're in a state championship game. I mean, both teams are here. They're here for a reason.
Right.
We're here to play. It's not nobody's gonna lay down if the first series doesn't go well. So I think it's probably, every play is important, but I think it's probably less important today than it is in some other situations. I mean, you go out and you're playing a team like when we were playing Ware County.
Right.
It may be a little bit more important there because you wonder what's going to happen if things don't go well. But here, state championship, game 15, both teams are going to keep balling whatever happens.
Coach, with your offense, we talked about last week. I know it sounds crazy because he went over 100 yards, but North Dakota did a good job of slowing down Justin Thomas. And then obviously Holden Garner had a really efficient game, the 3 touchdown passes in that one. When you're coming into this game, obviously you want to get the ball to number 4 and number 11, but how much more so today where it's just like, hey, I'm not going to lose by not giving those guys the ball enough? Yeah,
definitely. We've talked about that, and Coach Phillips and Coach Coleman's game plan is going to be putting it in their hands, as it has been all year. Now we're going to still take what the defense gives us. So whatever that is, that's what we're going to do, and we got weapons all over the place. But I mean, the truth is when it comes down to that play, 4 and 11 are going to be the guys.
And sticking with that, I know your guys, you have the Cam Edge, the Zaquan Bryans, right? Luke Kromenhag playing a major role on offense this year. When it comes to being able to go in and out of those formations, go as fast as you want to, and not have to take anybody off the field, how big of a headache does that give a defensive guy like you?
Oh, it's huge. It's unbelievably hard to have to do that. I tell you, a great example of that last week was North Oconee.
Yeah.
And what they were doing was just very difficult on our defense because they were just from one formation to this motion to that, and it was just constantly changing everything. So I know it's very, very difficult to defend, and it's huge, Now we will run, Mac, Luke's brother, on to play tight end or holding Sapp.
Yeah.
But we can also just simply move Luke down there and let him play the tight end spot, and just all the different things we can do is very, very difficult to defend. Either you're going to try to scheme up against all of that and put yourself in a possibility of just really messing up,
right,
or you're going to get very vanilla.
Yeah.
Either one way or the other is how you have to play that.
It's the countdown to the 4A state championship game with Coach Danny Britt, presented by Savannah Toyota here on this Friday morning. And Coach, on a personal level, how fun has this run been? I know when we talked to you back at the end of the Buford game, it might not have been a whole lot of fun, but to see the way the team has evolved, you kind of done some things that you said were different, taking the ball first, changing some things just to get Justin the ball in the I formation kind of in the middle of the season. You started doing that a little bit more. How kind of fun has that been for you to be on this run with them?
Yeah, it is a lot of fun, and it's been a blessing. I'll be honest with you. It's been an absolute blessing to work with these, and I've fallen in love with the seniors because ultimately they have to do it. I mean, the coaches, we're going to do what we do, and have an incredible staff and that's done a great job. But those guys just really came together, and that mindset. I mean, it's such a fine line, and that mindset just flipped. And we changed. We got together as coaches. We got with the seniors and just said, how do we do this? What do we do? I don't care. Nothing's off the table after that Buford loss. And that was the turn. Nothing's off the table, whatever. We changed how we practice completely, where we're getting a lot more reps in. Practice is what was harder, and harder doesn't always mean you're just out there just running into each other. People get confused with that. It just meant there were so many more reps, and everybody was super busy. I remember the first 2 weeks we did it, the coaches, Coach Houston in particular, and Coach DePhillips were like, "Oh my gosh, this is exhausting." Because and what we did is we developed 2 scout teams, and we are running them at all the time. And there's no time when anybody, other than a Thursday practice, walk through, where anybody's just standing. And it became really, really a battle cry for us that we're working, working that hard and doing things right. And it's been fun. I have, it's funny. My wife asked me after every game, was it fun? I'm like, yeah, right at the end when we took a knee and the game was over. That's fun. But I have really enjoyed, it's been rewarding. How about that?
There you go.
Extremely rewarding to be a part of this group and what is taking place.
Coach, we talk about the senior class, and obviously they are the backbone of the team, the people that really brought you to this point, but also a lot of pressure on the younger guys. And I know that just from playing, when you play football, you don't want to let the senior class that's kind of mentored you go out on a bad note. There's some really crucial guys that are some underclassmen for you that are going to have to play a major role today.
They do. And it's funny you mentioned that. When you and I were talking earlier about, timing this out, Bryce Baker was sitting across from me, and he had his headsets in, and he was just sitting there kind of nervous, like, in the offensive meeting ended, broke, and the defense coach Houston he didn't even say anything. He just started walking that way, and Bryce jumped up and told all the guys sitting there, let's go. So he, a sophomore, is on point, and he's ready, and we're going to have a huge game from him today. And he's been, ever since the Burke County game, he has been just balling and playing really well. So
I would say close to 40 tackles the last 2 weeks.
Literally, he had 19 tackles each game the past 2 weeks, and that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's usually at that position, a good game is 11, maybe 13 tackles, and you're like, wow, that's a good game. So he's been playing at a different level, and he's just one example. Obviously, you mentioned Luke earlier.
His partner in crime, Wilkes Albert.
Wilkes has to have a big game, and has been playing a lot of football the past 2 years. So a lot of those younger guys really going to have to step up.
I'll give you a moment to speak about those two guys, Bryce and Wilkes, because in high school football day, a lot of teams want to get you side to side, and you got to stay home in the middle. The fact that those two guys, 10th graders for you, Christian and I talked last week. They've played almost 3 full
they're
seasons.
Basically almost seniors.
They played almost 3 full seasons of football, for you already. But the fact that those guys are in 10th grade, and I mean, theoretically, this is just scratching the surface of what they've got ahead of them, and they're playing at this level already.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you're right, because they, in essence, they were starters last year as freshmen, because they played a whole lot, and then we played 4 extra games last year, and then of course now. So they've done a really good job. Bryce has a lot of athletic ability, and he can really run. And I know you've seen that and play sideline to sideline, along with being tough in the middle. Wilkes is quick, but what he doesn't have as much in talent, he makes up for with effort and heart. He gets after it. Incredible nose for the ball. The term I always use is that dog a hunt. He will hunt, and that's just what he likes to do. So yeah, very proud of those two guys, and we need big games from them today.
And Coach Ben Hollerback, your safety, I thought he's kind of an unsung hero of just playing that spot where he's usually 15, 20 yards behind everybody else, but he can run an alley with the best of them. He had the missed tackle last week, but I'll defend him, as that dude was coming across his face and he was coming the other way. That's a tough tackle to make. Yeah. But for the most part, he's been rock solid back there. How big of a day does he need to have?
We need him to have a very big day. We need him, one, to make sure we're all on the same page in the coverage we're running.
Yeah.
And that's what I tell him all the time. If we're all on the same page in the coverage, we can have the wrong coverage called and still be okay. But we could make the right call and one person not know the coverage, and we're dead.
Yeah.
So he has to. That's the number one responsibility, and then we need him to have a big day, certainly. But we need to make that tackle, and probably a little harder on him because I'm the safeties coach. But yes, we need to make that tackle.
I'm with you, Ben.
Christian, the 4%. We're here counting down to kick off with Danny Britt, presented by Savannah Toyota. I want to flip it back over to the offensive side, and a group that Christian talks about during the games each and every week. That offensive line, you got 5 seniors up there, and I know you told us preseason, hey, we're not the biggest guys across the board, but we'll get after you. And they're going to go against bigger guys almost every week.
Right.
Speak to the job that they have done, and they've kept your quarterback clean most weeks there for you in the passing game.
Yeah, they've done a tremendous job. Trevor Coleman with the offensive line and all of the blocking schemes has just done an incredible job of both coaching them, developing them as players, and then as a unit. They are bonded together. They are tight, just like an offensive line should be. And I'm just so proud of them. They've done a great job. And every single game, every game, they are outmatched tremendously. And if you look at the other team's offensive line and then look at ours, you're like, are you kidding me? 195, 205, it's just unbelievable. Henry's the only one that's legitimately a big guy. But they played so well. And then last week was fun to watch. One of the funnest parts of my job is I break down the previous game. I do all the stats, and then I do all the in-house stats, which are the awards and the hit men and all this stuff. The funnest part is watching the offensive line and getting their hit stickers. And Drew Morin had 5 last week. Shane Strickland, I think, had 4. Brian had 3. So just fun to watch those guys.
Well, Coach, we got some messages up there from some of the fans watching. I think you know one of them, Stephanie Britt. You may know her.
I know her.
With the Go Cadets. But you see Memorial Stadium the last 3 weeks, specifically during that Marist game, just a different kind of atmosphere. And then you mentioned the support you guys got for getting this hotel stay from the community. What's that like? How special is that? Because it's certainly not with every program that level of support.
It's funny you mentioned that. I saw, there were some guys there at that Marist game in particular, some younger guys with their fathers. And they had put on social media, they had taken pictures or videos of the fans, the completely packed stadium, and said, the support the Benedictine get is just unbelievable. And it's nobody in the area compares. And so that is just huge. And it's huge for these guys. They work so hard. And that's one reason they come to Benedictine. They see that. They know that. They know that's, they want to see stadiums like that. They want to get that support. They love the fact that, wherever they go, somebody's going to come up. Kids tell me all the time they're out, and they're in their letter jacket or whatever, and a man will buy their breakfast or whatever because he's an alum and he supports them. And then, take the trips like this where you're staying. This is very much a college. We feel like we run it like a college program. And this is a very much a college environment where you go stay overnight in hotels, you have team meetings, you travel in charter buses, you know, all of the, you know, you get a stipend so that you can go, you know, take your money and eat and that sort of thing. So it is huge to have that support, not just for today and not just for this year, but to run a program.
Absolutely. And again, as you said, the cadets playing for the state championship coming up a little bit later today. And one area we haven't talked about is your special teams. I know Holden is your punter, and he's done a really good job. I think we've seen improvement there. And you talk about kickoffs and extra points with Asher. You almost kind of don't even think about it. It's been automatic. And Hudson kicking off has been consistently. He's had a few games where he's consistently been able to get it to the end zone. How big have they been? Oftentimes we talk about unsung guys, your directional kicks, you've turned into extra possessions a few times. How big have those guys been, and how much confidence do you have in those guys to handle the special teams?
Yeah, it's huge. Coach Burnett's done a great job with the special teams. And again, you know, you mentioned Stephanie. I was talking to Stephanie earlier this morning about one, I'm so appreciative that we have come up here, and we did it in 2014. And I was the head coach, the defense coordinator, and the athletic director. So everything that was done when I got here last night, I had to do. Well, I got here last night, and Jack Holland was here with Miss Susan and had rooms, handing out the rooms. I just stood there and made sure the boys acted decent. And that's really all I had to do. Same thing with the coaches. You know, I walked out. When I finally got to practice yesterday, I called Stephanie and she's like, "Aren't you supposed to be at practice? You were all nervous earlier." I said, "Actually, I'm more relaxed at practice."
Yeah.
Because my coaches are on their job. They are taking care. I'm not worried about that. And that is awesome.
So you're saying we wouldn't be doing this in 2014 right now?
No, I've been having to handle stuff, but now, I mean, I don't have to do all that. So it's a blessing. But back to those kids in particular, yes, they've done a great job. And Joseph Stover has done a great job of snapping with Hudson kicking off, and we ask him to do a lot of different things. And it's funny, if anybody's listening, everybody always says, "Well, why do you directionally kick? Why don't you just kick it in the end zone?" Well, if in that case, we wouldn't have plays that gain 3 yards. We would just score a touchdown.
Yeah.
If we could do it, we would do it.
Yeah.
But we can't consistently kick it in the end zone, so that's why we do a lot of the stuff that we do. He's done a great job of that. Coach Pat Parker, who is a board member, has volunteered to help with those guys and done a great job. And then Asher, of course, with the shorter field goals and the extra points, has done a great job. So just proud of all those guys that continue to work and do what they do.
Coach, I know I ask you every single week here, but when you go out there, you take the field, everybody's warmed up, you look up, they get to kind of look up and see all the fans in the stands, and you finally get settled, everybody gets hit for the first time. What do you want to see out of your team on the first drives for both sides of the ball?
I want to see what I've seen for, honestly, about the past 12 weeks.
Yeah.
I want to see that same fight, that same, just continue to get after it. I want to see them, when somebody screws up, I want to see them coming together, lifting that brother up and play the next play. I want to see that toughness, that excitement for playing the game of football, quite honestly, that I've seen the past 12 weeks.
And this is the countdown to kickoff for the 4A state championship presented by Savannah Toyota. I want to take a quick moment to thank all the folks who've been with us all season long. Cash and Carry, Bernard Williams Insurance, First Chatham Bank, and the Uniform Source have all been great supporters of Benedictine Cadets football. So if you see those folks out in the community, tell them thank you for what we've been able to do and follow this ride all the way up here to Atlanta. Christian and I, you'll hear from us 3 o'clock on ESPN Radio Savannah and ESPNCoastal.com as we get ready for kickoff. And Coach, I guess there's only one thing left to do is good luck to you and go set the standard.
Yes, that's the plan, to go set the standard and get after it today and go win one.
We'll talk to you soon. 4A state championship game from Atlanta.